How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online video. My name is Saintsfan, and today I want to take a look at the top 10 vehicles you should own in GTA Online in 2019. This is an updated list for these vehicles. I think I've made a similar video, which I'll leave a link to in the description, for either last year or even 2017. So this is definitely a needed upgrade considering all the new vehicles we have in the game. Some of those vehicles from that previous video are still here, but I think I sort of switched it up with a couple others that are a little bit more useful. Now, this is just my opinion. If you guys have anything you want to add to it, let us know in the comment section. But getting us started with arguably the most useful vehicle in the game, the Oppressor Mark II. You should definitely own this. There's no question about it. It does cost a lot of money. You do need to go through a lot of steps to acquire it, because you have to buy a nightclub, then you got to buy a terabyte, but it is worth it. The fact that this is a bike that shoots missiles, that flies, that can be called instantly, I mean, what more could you ask for? This thing is the all-in-one vehicle, and you really don't need anything else. This thing will get you from point A to point B probably the quickest, because it can fly over all the terrain. You're not ever going to fall off of it, so you can kind of just not even pay attention while flying, and you'll be good. If anyone does decide to try and kill you or shoot rockets at you, you either have flares or the chaff system, so you can counteract those those missiles coming at you, and then you can shoot back, because you have 20 missiles that you can shoot that are pretty damn deadly. They're not the most deadly in the game, but they are like one notch above. They will pretty much kill anyone you're shooting at. And the fact that, hey, if your vehicle does blow up, you can get it back within 15 seconds, if that. Quickly call Moore's Mutual, call it back, call it through your interaction menu, and you're good to go again. This thing has it all. This thing is fast. It is pretty damn maneuverable. The one downside, most people might think you're a griefer when you're on it. So people are going to be pretty defensive when you go near them. But still, that's really not that big of a deal. Own the Oppressor Mark II and you'll be good. Moving us to the second vehicle on my list. Because GTA Online is basically, or at least free roam, is basically a war zone now, you need an armored vehicle to get around if you don't want to have to worry about killing other people. In my previous video, I mentioned the Night Shark. And look, any of the armored vehicles are good. The Night Shark is definitely still good. But recently, I found love with the Insurgent Pickup Custom. This thing just is awesome. It can be customized actually at Benny's. Well, or maybe not at Benny's, but you can put Benny's customization on it. So that's cool. You can have 9 people in this thing. I don't know how many people actually have 9 friends that play GTA Online, but you can have 9 people, so that's a plus. You obviously have the armor on it. This thing takes like 28, 29 or something like that oppressor missiles, homing missiles. So you're basically never going to die in this thing. I mean, it's going to require like the entire lobby coming at you with Oppressor Mark IIs to kill you. And even then, you have the option of having a gunner so you can somewhat fight back. And unlike some other armored vehicles, you can actually shoot out of this one. The Insurgent Pickup Custom is just one of the best armored vehicles, and added to all the things I just mentioned, the fact that it is pretty quick, it handles pretty damn good for what it is, and it plows things out the way. You get a really fun vehicle for online. Third on my list, I have the Stromberg. The reason is because this is, I think, the only vehicle that is armored and has missiles. All the other vehicles are either armored or they have missiles, which means you either are playing defensive or you're only playing offense, and both of those have their negatives. The Stromberg is the middle. The Stromberg has the defense and it has the offense. Now, they are a little pulled back, so it's not as crazy, but the Stromberg is great. It can withstand, I believe, 3 homing missiles, and it has, I think, 20 or 30 homing missiles to shoot back. And the homing missiles that it shoots are actually really good. Now, there is a shorter distance you have to be to lock onto someone, but if someone's on an Oppressor Mark II in free roam, you have the option to tank a couple of shots and then pick them off with your missiles. Also, it's a damn submarine car. That alone should be enough to have you purchase it, because it is just a lot of fun to drive off of cliffs into the ocean. You're like, oh, guess what? We're going to die. No, we're not, because we have a car that can go underwater. So that's why the Stromberg is third on my list. Now, number 4, we have the Avenger. You could also maybe substitute the MOC or the Terabyte here, but I chose the Avenger because if you have a group of 2 or 3 people with you, the Avenger is just so much fun. Solo, it's definitely not that good, but if you have some people manning the guns, manning the flares, this thing is kind of unstoppable. It has a really good amount of armor, so you're gonna have to shoot this thing a couple of times, quite a lot actually, to take it down with rockets. You have the 2 or 3 cannons on it, which if a gunner is taking control of, they are really deadly. And then if someone's up in the passenger seat with you, you have the option of the flares now. So it's even harder for people to take you out. So this thing is a tank in the sky, and is a lot of fun to go wrecking with in free roam. Now, 5th on the list, I have the Akula, because the Akula has one feature that is just so freaking awesome. The ghost mode, or the stealth mode. The Akula, when you go into the stealth mode, you don't appear on the map. No one can find you unless they see you. But if you're high up, because it's a helicopter, you can fly really high up, then they're not going to see you. And this thing does have some offensive capability. It has armor. It is really fun to fly. It's definitely one of the better helicopters in that regard. And because of all this, it's like kind of the perfect package. If you're doing missions, if you're doing jobs, I believe this even hides the job icons on the map, so you can peacefully make your money that way. I believe it takes 3 homing missiles to blow it up. Again, you have the option of the barrage missiles, I think, or the homing missiles on it, so you have some offensive power. Plus, I think you have the cannons too. This was definitely on my list before, and it's on my list now because of that stealth feature. Now, number 6, we have a new vehicle. A vehicle from the Arena War, and that is the Rat Truck, the upgraded Rat Truck. This thing is one of the most fun vehicles Rockstar put in the game. It costs a lot of money, or a decent amount of money, to upgrade it and put everything on it that you want, but it's just awesome. You have a ton of customization options to choose from. You have 3 different styles. You have a couple of different front options. You can go with the giant love fist if you want, but it's really not that good. That's kind of mainly for show. I decided to go with the electric field because it's just hilarious to bump into people and constantly electrocute them. But this is one of the vehicles that I choose to use when I'm just driving around and I don't care about anything. And the reason is because nothing gets in this vehicle's way. Like, it plows everything out the way. Car, van, truck, it don't care. It plows it out the way and it keeps on moving. I mean, you barely lose any speed when you hit other vehicles. And that's just a ton of fun because we all know the NPC drivers in this game suck. They constantly get in your way. Use this car, you don't even need to worry about them. You just drive. Who cares what's in front of you? And add that to the fact that this thing has the new shunt boost option, so you can jump up in the air and then constantly keep jumping. And that's just so much fun to see how far you can go. I've actually heard people say they've gone from Mount Chiliad jumping in the air on this or with this car all the way to the airport. I don't know if that was true or not, but if that can be done, that's awesome. So the Rat Truck, the Rat Arena War vehicle, definitely is a vehicle you should own. Out of all the arena vehicles, I think this one's the most fun. At number 7, I have the Scramjet. In my last video on this topic, I had the Vigilante in this sort of role because the Vigilante was a fun vehicle to use, to fly, to use the jet boost and all that. But the Scramjet just takes that to another level. The Scramjet, you don't get the plowing capability the Vigilante has, or even the missiles. But just for pure fun, it's like the Rat Truck arena vehicle. This thing is just, if you just want to have mindless fun with some buddies, you get this car. It does cost a lot. I think it's like $4 or $5 million. So definitely you're going to need a grind or buy a shark card for it. But if you have the money, the Scramjet is one of the most fun vehicles in the game. It jumps, goes really fast, and it has rocket boost. So you can do all kind of crazy flips and land in the weirdest places. But do be warned, you will probably end your journey in this vehicle by landing in the water. I'm pretty sure that's how I've destroyed this vehicle every single time I've driven it. But before that, it was a ton of fun. At number 8, I wanted to throw this vehicle in here. It's definitely only going to apply to a few people, but for those people, this is the best vehicle, the best aircraft, the Pyro. The Pyro is the best jet in the game. I think it's the fastest. It's the most maneuverable. You can pretty much dodge any missile in it. It does have missiles to shoot back. It looks pretty cool. And I don't believe it costs a whole ton. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think it's like super crazy expensive. I know it's not like the laser. It's not $7-8 million. But the Pyro is the best PvP aircraft in the game. If you're looking to just buy one aircraft, one plane, and be done with it, because maybe every once in a while you go up in the air and you just don't want to get killed, then the Pyro is the one you're going to want to get. But really, if you're not going up in the air the whole time, then you can kind of skip this one. That brings us to number 9. And I'm throwing the Kamacho in here. This may be kind of subjective, but I absolutely love the Kamacho. This is my favorite off-road vehicle. It tanks mountains, which is rare for an off-road vehicle. I mean, you'd think off-road vehicles in this game would be good off-road, but that's not the case. The Kamacho is one of the few that can actually perform really well off-road. And it's just a ton of fun to bring up to Sandy Shores, to bring up to the north of the map, Paleto Bay area, and go up mountains, go over the sand in Sandy Shores, go over like the hills and stuff. You rarely will lose traction, or you rarely will like slide down mountains. I mean, unless you're going up like a 90-degree cliff, you're pretty much gonna get to the top of the mountain. And add that to the fact that this vehicle just looks awesome and it has a ton of customization. You can make it look unique while having fun off-road. So that's why I wanted to throw this in at number 9. And then finally, number 10 is split between two cars, because you'll notice on this list, I haven't put any supercars, or really any cars that aren't special. And that's because normal cars like supercars, they're not really viable in GTA Online free roam. And in 2019, unless you're racing, it's not really necessary to own a super or a sport car. But with that being said, I wanted to put 2 of them on this list. And the 2 that I've chosen are the Devastate 8 for the supers and the Pariah for the sports. Now, the Pariah is the best sports car in the game. I think it's actually the fastest car in the game when you don't account for like glitches and bugs that make cars go fast. Just on its own driving, the Pariah beats every sports car, and it beats pretty much every single supercar. So if you're looking for pure speed, the Pariah is the vehicle you want to own. Downside to it is that it doesn't really look that good, costs a lot of money, and it is kind of hard to control. But again, if you're looking for that speed, if you're looking for the fastest car, the Pariah is needed in your garage. But then the supercar that I chose, the Devastate 8, the reason I chose it is because it's a new supercar that I think looks awesome, especially from the back. I mean, you see the back when you're in third person pretty much all the time. So having a car that has a nice back is definitely necessary when you're driving it around. And the Devastate 8 actually performs really well. I don't think it's number 1 or 2, but it's like top 5, I believe, in terms of performance. And in my previous video, I had the XA21, and while that's still a fantastic supercar and looks great and handles well and performs well, the Devastate 8, I think, is a good bump up. So that is my supercar I have chosen. So that's the top 10 vehicles I think you should own in GT Online in 2019. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this video. Please drop it a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GT Online content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.